Okay, so we need to take a moment and kind of look at some machining operation processes real briefly of what Mastercam can do in order for us to understand some of the different steps, because as we can see in this finished file, there's a lot of stuff going on. So what does this finished file look like? We click verify and we walk through a play of this, and I've got it slowed down. We'll play this a couple of times. But this is the different operations that we're going to be doing to take that solid chunk of plastic that's 2 inches thick by 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And we're going to be machining it down in the CNC mill using these different processes in order to get it to be the finished step. So each of these different steps you're seeing is a different type of process in Mastercam. And this is just some of what Mastercam can do. But we can see that finished part right there looks just like our actual finished product in hand. So we threw in a chunk of plastic that was this big by 2 inches thick, and after we were all done, set up, this part came out. Now there's still a lot of stuff you have to do to make that happen. Not only do you have to program it, we also have to set up the tooling, set up our zeros, put the part in. There's a lot of stuff we still got to do, but essentially it is going to be made for us when we're done. So one more time, let's go ahead and watch this, and I'm going to kind of talk about this. So our first operation is going to be facing. We're taking a big 2-inch bit, and that 2-inch face cut bit is this tool right here. So if I can focus in, we got these carbide inserts in here, 4 of them. The diameter from tip over here to tip over here is 2 inches. So as this is spinning around, it's taking a pretty wide pass. And if you look close enough on the actual part, you'll see this line shade here, and there's kind of a shaded line right there, another one right there. You can actually see where those passes of that bit went past the material. So if we watch the simulation, you'll see it takes multiple passes across, and then it drops and takes a little bit more off and a little bit more off until it gets down to the right depth, because we can't just take that all at once. It's a lot of material. So that was facing. Facing is common for taking the material off the top of a part that is too thick. This next step we're going to be doing is going to be profiling or contouring. It comes in 2 different terms, around the outside of the part. So the part's this wide, way out here, 5.5 by 5.5, and we're bringing it in to a smaller diameter using this big 3/4 inch end mill. So right here is similar to the tool that we're going to be using for taking the material off the sides. This is a 3/4 inch 4 flute carbide center cutting end mill. This one doesn't have as long of flutes on it, so it won't get as deep for the one I'm just holding in my hand, but the one in the CNC will. So essentially this is going to be going around the part, and it is going to be taking material off a little bit at a time. And we're doing it in a full depth pass actually, so we're all the way down there in one pass, just coming in a little bit more each time, taking more material off as we go. But this particular operation is going to be all the way down to the bottom. So if we rotate a little bit, we can see that we're all the way down there, and we're just taking a little bit more off each time it goes around. Until it gets to the final size. Alright, so this next step is going to be putting those dimples in for the marbles to sit in. Those dimples are going to be put in with a ball end mill. And I don't think we have quite the right tool showing on the simulation, but that's fine. We'll just put the right tool in the machine. A ball end mill is like an end mill, but it's rounded off instead of squared off. So it's going to do like a sphere when it cuts in there. It's center cutting, so it's going to come right into that dimple, and it's going to leave a sphere in there. We're using a 5/8 inch diameter one. We're going in like 0.2 or 200 thousandths, which will be just enough for that marble to sit in there. So this is a drilling operation, essentially. It's drilling down 0.2 deep with a ball end mill. Alright, so here it doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot, but we're actually deburring or chamfering this top edge, making sure it's not sharp. So if we look at the final product again, we can see it's got this nice little chamfer going around the edge. So we're going to again be contouring around the part like we did with that big 3/4 inch, but we're going to be doing it with a carbide chamfer tool. So this is a 90-degree, looks like a 2 flute chamfer tool, carbide, and we're just going to come in around the outside, and we're going to put that little 45-degree cut on there with this, which is not going to give us a sharp edge, and it just looks kind of nice when you do that. So that'll be contouring around the outside with that tool. And then our final pass is going to be the lines on the inside. So we're going to be taking, and I don't have the exact bit here, a 1/4 inch ball end mill. So this is a 1/4 inch end mill. And you saw earlier a larger ball end mill. So just imagine this bit rounded over. I don't have that one with me right now for the video, but just imagine it rounded over. And we're going to come in, and we're just going to follow that line. Drop, come over, up, drop, come over, up, go to the next one. Drop, come over, up, drop, come over, up. We're doing it in a couple of passes because I always like to have a finishing pass in everything that we machine. It's going to leave a nice clean edge there. We talk about finishing passes on the manual mill and the manual lathe in class. This is no different, except for it's computerized. It's going to give us a nice clean cut and a good look for that part when we're done. So that's why you're going to see multiple passes for each of those. And that's essentially what we're going to be doing. So we have facing, contouring around the outside, the dimples, the chamfer, and the lines. We have 5 different operations we're going to be programming in Mastercam in order to get this part to work. I'll make a separate video for each of those processes so we can kind of break it out and look at the stuff that we need to, because when we're done, it's going to be a pretty massive file. There's a lot of settings in here we need to follow to get just right so that we don't crash the machine or break the part as we go through it.